raced yesterday, they all hang around and enjoy the atmosphere. There's lots of lovely bars and pubs along the course. So yeah, great race to watch as a spectator.
And the weather, as you can see, is cooperating. Absolutely beautiful day. It's already up to around 20 degrees here, which if you deal in Fahrenheit is about 70. And it's expected to get much, much warmer by the time the men are out on the course in mid-afternoon. Also, not a wetsuit swim today, which is unusual for here.
Yeah, you don't often know what you're going to get weather-wise at this time of the year in Europe. So absolutely beautiful weather. I think we've had some years here where it's been freezing cold as well. So great to see beautiful conditions. We can see how flat the water is as well there. Yeah, perfect race conditions.
This is the Raklava Lake, where they're going to swim shortly. And it sounds like the PA announcer is just clearing his throat. So we should get the athlete presentation imminently. There might be, considering the difference in experience between some of these athletes and some of the younger ones, there could be a bit of separation here in this 1500 meters. So even in a lake, there's no current, obviously, there's no waves, but we still might get a big gap between first and last, I reckon.
Yeah, this course has always typically been quite a tight course, but I think with a small field today, it's not going to be as much of a factor. And you're right, Trevor, I think there potentially could be some gaps that open. We've got some really, really strong swimmers like Bianca Surigny, Maya Kingma, Sophia Howell, and then some younger, inexperienced athletes. So potential for there to be quite a few gaps, but a bit more space than usual with only 27 athletes on the start list.
Yeah, and if you're someone that likes the stats to try and get a clue as to what might happen, 4 of the 6 races since 2018, the winner of the race has been among the top 10 out the water. And we've seen the women's race break up on the bike. So we will see what happens today. Well, she will be front and centre, no doubt, Surigny, and so will Maya Kingma, unless something extraordinary happens. Great to see her fit again. Had various injury issues over the last couple of years. Steinhauser is a very familiar figure on the World Cup circuit. And there's Emi Lago that we mentioned.
Ria Tome of Portugal. So one of the favourites, I'd say, here today. And one of our local athletes, Teresa Zimanova, the top-ranked Czech athlete here today.
Yeah, another Czech, Kurikova, so they'll be absolutely guaranteed to enjoy home support. Now, Brea Roderick's a very interesting young triathlete. She came 24th in the test event in Paris last year, and that was only her 2nd ever race over the Olympic distance. So she's only 22, so clearly some talent.
Yeah, incredible talent and super strong on the bike, so this course also might favour Brea. Julia Haas of Austria there, one of our Japanese athletes, the sole Japanese athlete there, Haraka Fukuoka.
Emma Jeffcoat of Australia, very experienced athlete.
Holly Elliott, who's I think transitioning from Great Britain to Ireland, so wearing the IT or the World Triathlon suit there.
Josh Shiner just going through of Austria. Guida Sova and Sophia Howell, the 2nd Canadian athlete in this race.
One of our younger Dutch athletes, Luna de Bruin.
Kropko of Hungary.
Alicia Orla also wearing the World Triathlon suit there, transitioning from Italy to Romania at the moment.
Lottie Miller, she's one of those women that if she actually doesn't have a great swim, she is one of those capable of making up ground on the bike. We've seen it so many times from her.
Other of our Czech athletes, I think we have a total of 4 Czech women on the start list today.
Almeida of Portugal just going through. Vikirilova and Babette Rosman of the Netherlands completes the field. So 28 in terms of numbers, but we never have a 13 because we're a superstitious lot with triathlon. So there are your 27. So no non-runners, so to speak, which is good. And remember, if they go early, that's going to be a 15-second time penalty. And this is going to be a long race. The winning time, Gwen Jorgensen's winning time last year was just under 2 hours 4 minutes. Such are the vagaries of this course.
You are now in the hands of the starter.
Heartbeat tells you we're just moments away. So the post-Olympic period has started. 27 women in the water for this Karlovy Vary World Cup, and a really tough course ahead of them for the next 2 hours or so.
Yeah, and we've got our number 1 to 10 athletes wearing yellow swim caps here today. 11 to 20 will be wearing silver swim caps, and 21 to 30 red. So pretty easy to spot everyone with a small start list. I think we saw Emma Jeffcoat deciding to start on the far left as you face the screen, and then conversely we had Bianca Seregni and Maya Kingma starting on the far right there. You can see just at the front of the field.
If you are eagle-eyed and can spot the numbers on the caps, which is not easy, Seregni and Kingma, the two that we think will be front and centre, 1 and 2 respectively. So there we go.
Swimming side by side at the moment.
Yeah, so we'd expect them to be there for the duration and maybe potentially get themselves a bit of a gap, but we'll see how it pans out. One of the things, obviously, because the first buoy comes up after only a couple hundred metres, and one of the things when you do have a small field like we have today is there shouldn't be too much bumping and barging around those buoys. Yeah,
this is normally a really physical swim, but I think they're quite lucky here today. Small field, so there shouldn't be too much barging. Should be lots of space for everyone to get around that buoy. But yeah, 200 meters, we normally get a bit longer to that first buoy. It's normally about 300 to 400 meters, so short distance to that first swim buoy. But the fact we have quite a small field today should hopefully play in the favour. Hopefully not too much hargy-bargy going on in the swim.
The familiar stroke of Bianca Seregni nearest the camera.
And we can see Emma Jeffcoat there on the top of our screen. So Seregni and Jeffcoat at the moment leading out the swim here.
Seregni has an excellent record here. Second in 2022, third a year before that. So she would want to complete those kind of 1, 2, 3 in terms of podium steps with the gold here this morning.
Yeah, and had a golden streak on the World Cup circuit last year. She had a number of podiums, was really in great shape. I think this might be one of her first World Cup outings of the year. She obviously chose to focus on the Olympic Games and now can enjoy the rest of the year racing a little bit on the World Cup circuit.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty respectable performance, 22nd in Paris actually for Seregni, especially when you consider that that was a big improvement, 12 spots better than she was in the test event a year earlier. And I definitely think she's come on as you'd expect her to. She's 24, so she may not even be at the peak of the powers yet.
Yeah, and she also had that crash in Paris, so you could, do some wondering what if she didn't crash, where, potentially would she have come. So lots of talent, and I'm sure she'll be gunning for LA in 4 years' time.
Almost seemed like more people crashed than didn't in that Paris race. It was carnage at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, just holding your breath, hoping everyone stayed on their bikes.
Seregni is actually a former European aquathlon champion, and you can see why. Even, 3.5 minutes in, leading the field, and already, we mentioned it at the start, look at the gap front to back.
Yeah, it looks like a group of about 7 of them, and they're very strung out, which shows you that the pace is quite high. And then we have a bit of a bunch at the back there, so they must have swum about 300, 400 meters or so, and yeah, already some gaps forming.
So they take the tiger line, as you can see, just trying to get to the inside of that little island.
Yeah, they essentially swim the whole way around the island. They'll head back towards the pontoon where they started. They'll exit, they'll dive back in again and head off on the second lap, which is slightly different. They exit the water, not where the pontoon is. The transition area is just around the other side of the lake. So slightly different second lap.
Annabelle Knoll was one of those, just got a glimpse of her. She's kind of at the front of that sort of large group, if you will. Haven't seen much of her. She was 17th in her first World Series race for a year in Hamburg in July. She did win a Europe Cup race in Poland last month. Obviously didn't make the Olympics. The strength and depth of the German women is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're so strong at the moment. I think, you know, that selection race for them for Paris Olympics, it was so competitive. There were probably a group of about 6 or 7 of them who could have been selected. She had a great 2022. She had some wonderful results there. I think she had a 6th in Hamburg and a 7th in Yokohama. She was performing really well, and I think then she unfortunately got injured or ill, which derailed her Olympic hopes. But still an Olympian from Tokyo. And yeah, I guess she'll be one of those athletes here today who wants to come out with a bit of redemption and just try and get a positive end to 2024.
Yeah, point to prove definitely for Annabelle Long. She's still 28, so Los Angeles is a definite possibility if she can get back to, as you said, somewhere close to how she was performing a couple of years ago. Serenyi, meanwhile, going on a merry way at the front of the field.
Yeah, looking really smooth.
It's always the way, isn't it, with the better swimmers, that they make it look absolutely effortless.
Yeah, she's got a beautiful stroke, nice clear water in front of her, and I wouldn't be surprised if we'll probably have the likes of Maya Kingma sitting on her feet. Maya Kingma, also no stranger to the front of a swim, but probably quite happy to just sit on Seregni's feet at the moment. I think I saw Seregni had COVID after the Paris Olympics, but looks like she's recovered from that now, looking nice and strong. And there we've got Maya Kingma, and Maya Kingma's birthday today.
We should wish her happy return. She's 29 today, and after that excellent race she had in Paris where she was 7th, and we heard from her yesterday, and she was saying that she wasn't even particularly targeting that this year as the big race because she's had all kinds of injury issues. She had an operation at the start of the year. So to get a 7th place in the exalted company that obviously there is, best field you can ever get in women's triathlon, was a great achievement.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear that she felt like she, still wasn't in top shape in Paris, and that she was hoping to get into top shape by the end of the year, having had surgery earlier on. So to finish 7th in an Olympic Games where you're not, on top of your game, that's quite impressive. Saw Emma Jeffcoat there sitting in 3rd place at the moment, so she's right up there. Also was out of action for a whole year due to a whole lot of injuries, operations, some bad luck, but coming back into shape. And I think we had in 4th place, there was someone in a red swim cap, so one of our athletes ranked 21 to 30th there. I think it potentially could be the likes of someone like Sophia Howe of Canada. She's a pretty strong swimmer.
And there's a bit of a gap after that, and they're not even through their first lap yet. They're not far away from completing it, 8 minutes in.
Yeah, and if there are 4 of them up the front away, that's a pretty good-sized group for a breakaway.
Yeah, Kingma doing it perfectly so far, just on the feet of Serenyi.
Yeah, and she'll be saving a little bit more energy as well, just sitting on Seregni's feet. She's probably as good a swimmer as Seregni, so she won't be suffering on her feet there. She's probably just sitting comfortably, enjoying a little bit of a ride. So we've got 5 athletes there. So Bianca Seregni, Maya Kingma, Emma Jeffcoat. We'll catch a glimpse of our 4th and 5th place as they exit the water here.
So out they come to complete their first of the 2 laps. It's equal laps, 750 meters per lap.
What a steep ramp there.
It is, isn't it? And it's there, so it's going to be about 9 minutes and change, just about, for those women.
So Marta Kropko was sitting in 4th, and then I think it was a red tri-suit.
It was Sophia Howe.
Yeah, Sophia Howe sitting there in 5th place. So those are top 5, and then there's a bit of a gap to 6th place. Pretty strung out, isn't it?
We thought it might be. Look at that. So there's 11 seconds between Howe and the 6th place woman. And even beyond that, Roderick's 25 seconds off the pace. Lottie Miller, half a minute. So if that kind of continues like that, she's going to have a minute deficit there or thereabouts on the bike. Steinhauser even further back with Tomei. Gina Sereno rather further back than she would want to be. And Annabelle Knoll must have gone backwards a little bit towards the end of that first lap. But she was certainly closer than that at one stage.
Yeah, very, very strung out at the moment. Two of our local Czech athletes are sitting in 6th and 7th, Stobova and Krakulova.
So the last women are going to be more than a minute back. There we go. Zimjanova, Rosman.
Zimjanova had a really strong year, just missed out on qualifying for Paris. You remember the controversial race in Vina del Mar where she was disqualified? And
we all remember that.
Had she not have been disqualified, she would have made the start list. So that was a very unfortunate day out for her.
I was going to say Katie Zafiras remembers it more than most, probably.
Yes, I'm sure.
And picking over the last woman out of Slovakia, nearly a minute and a half behind Sereni. So that shows you just how strung out this field is, as the leaders are now well into their second lap. 11 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, and we saw Seregni in Paris in that really challenging swim. She was out the water in 2nd place behind Flora Duffy. So she is one of the best when it comes to swimming in triathlon. It's interesting hearing from Maya Kingma. She said she didn't have the best start in Paris, and then once they hit the currents coming back towards the exit, she really struggled to get around anyone, because in order to try and get around everyone, you had to move to the center of the river where the current was even stronger. So she found herself a little bit stuck. Still, managed to get into that front pack and have a really, really good race. So.
It was a Flora Duffy exhibition in the water, wasn't it? In the Seine. Absolutely astonishing. The former Olympic champion, as we have to call her now. But yeah, ridiculous swim from the Bermudian.
Looked like Emma Jeffcoat and Sophia Howell had swapped places there. I think Sophia Howell now sitting in 3rd and Emma Jeffcoat in 4th.
You mentioned that wonderful run that Sereni had last year. 3 World Cups. She won Weihai, Miyazaki, Chengdu. And it wasn't just in the World Cups that she showed us her ability, because she's had top 20 finishes in Yokohama and Cagliari this year in the World Triathlon Championship Series.
Yeah, and we are due for quite a warm day here today as well, and she does like racing in the heat too, so I think come the run, that might favor her as well. We heard Maya Kingma say she wasn't so sure yet how her run form is. I would say pretty good, finishing 7 in an Olympic Games, but I guess out of the 3 disciplines, she probably feels that the run perhaps is her weakness, so it'll be interesting to see if they are at the front end of this race, how that goes, the run between Bianca and Maya.
Well, that was why one of the reasons why I think 7th in Paris was such a great result for Kingman, because you look back this season in Hamburg, she was 13th after leading out the water, and for her that would be disappointing. So then you're wondering about the run, and 24th in Cagliari. But as I say, she's coming back from quite a serious injury issue, and if she can get back to somewhere near her best form, that magic win in Leeds that she had back in 2021, she's definitely a big game player.
And all 5 of them still there in contact, so
that would be just about the perfect number to get a break on the bike, you would think.
Yeah, it looks like there's a tiny gap there. Well, no, not quite. It just looks like the camera angle between Sophia Howell, I think, and Emma Jeffcoat. I think it's Marta Kropko is sitting in 3rd. The Hungarian and the Canadian suits look quite similar. Marta Kropko, no stranger at the front of a swim either, the young Hungarian athlete. We recently finished 6th at the University World Champs. The under-23 Triathlon World Champ from 2023.
So no surprise, she's
no.
prominent in the water.
Yeah, and you'll remember Hungary being bitterly disappointed that they unfortunately failed to qualify a second woman in that Huatelco qualification event. So she unfortunately didn't make it to Paris. I think Jeanette Bragmeier was the sole representative from Hungary.
Yeah. Well, the pace hasn't slowed. You can just, to the naked eye, you can see that Sereni storming away past the midpoint of this second lap now.
Yeah, and one less buoy to turn around. On the first lap, they did a right turn and headed back towards the pontoon, whereas this time they'll just head straight on towards the transition, and a really, really short transition, literally jump out of the water and they're into transition. So had it been a wetsuit swim, might have been challenging because it doesn't give you a lot of time to take the wetsuit off, but no problem here today. We are non-wetsuit.
Yeah, and that benefits the stronger swimmers like Sereni, like Kingma.
Yeah, I don't ever remember this race being a non-wetsuit swim, so it just shows you how warm the water is there today.
Yeah, and we're racing at about the same time of year that we usually do here in kind of early September. I mentioned it's a busy time on the World Cup circuit. We've got Valencia coming up and Rome. Also got some World Cup events still to come in Asia. One in Brasilia as well.
And the grand final pretty late this year in October. Torremolinos in Spain.
All of those World Cup races and the grand final and the Junior World Championships and the relay for the juniors will all be live on Triathlon Live.
I don't think the athletes could have asked for a better day. Absolutely beautiful conditions.
See how spread out they are. Wow, look at this.
There's some massive gaps, and it's going to be a bit of a lonely day out for these athletes that you can see at the back end here. Two athletes there at the back.
So there will be shuttle buses operating between the roll-over lake.
Yeah, with a field of 27 athletes, you think, that's such a good opportunity for getting good results, getting good points, but it also is really hard because you can't just sit on someone's feet in a swim or sit in a pack or anything because there's fewer bodies around you, so it does make it pretty challenging. So although there is opportunity, it also can be quite challenging in a small field like this.
So I hope that we will be heard online.
That is looking over at the front of that particular group.
It's about 11 or 12 athletes in that chase group.
Well, that shows you perfectly what the deficit is, and it's massive.
Yeah, I think Ireland's Holly Elliott was just sitting on the back of that chase group, number 16 there, silver swim cap. So these ladies have got a lot of work to do when they jump on their bikes.
And we couldn't even see them in that shot. I don't ever remember that. Well, these five have absolutely stormed away from the remainder here. Not be too long before they come out the water and get into T1.
Yeah, the deficit was 17 seconds out of the first lap of the swim, and that, I think, has probably extended to close to a minute, I would think.
It's certainly more than double, definitely. I'm curious where, how far back the likes of Lottie Miller in particular might be, because you'd say that she would be the stellar biker outside of that leading group there. So just a fraction slower than the first lap, that second lap in the water. But these five, a country mile clear of their nearest pursuers.
Bianca Seregni, Maya Kingma, Marta Kropko, Sophia Howell, and Emma Jeffcoat there are top 5 athletes out of the water. Kropko with a great transition.
Yeah, pretty good from almost 5. Now, this is the element here in Karlovy Vary that really separates the top athletes from those who maybe can't cope with the gradient.
Let's see what that deficit is.
I think you're right. It's not going to be far short of a minute here.
Yeah, close to a minute.
44 seconds. So it was indeed Krikirillova and then Goodison of New Zealand. In fact, the other Kiwi right there with her, Freya Roderick. And then Fukuoka of Japan.
Steinhauser there, just a few seconds further back. Lottie Miller as well, just out the water behind Steinhauser and Gina Serino. So we know Steinhauser and Lottie Miller, two really, really strong cyclists.
Well, they're going to have to really get a shift on to catch these leaders. It's a very scenic route, but no time to enjoy the view.
Almeida, Hauser. Almeida just having a little bit of trouble jumping on her bike there, and I think it's one of our Dutch athletes.
Julia Hauser, a minute 23 back.
So almost all of the athletes out of the water. We've got 4 in the water, I think. We've got Babette Rossman just exiting here of the Netherlands. In front of her, I think, was Zimanova, our Czech athlete.
Always a bit dispiriting when you come into T1 and there's like 3 bikes left.
Yeah, particularly on such a challenging course like this. You know that it's going to be a very, very lonely day out. Zimanova, she's racing at home. She just needs to try and put her head down and try and have a positive bike. Maybe catch some of the weaker cyclists in front of her.
So Rosman on her way, but a long, long way behind the leaders.
The camera's just focusing there on Teresa Zimanova, the Czech athlete.
Yeah, and I think you just saw there in that last shot one of our drones that allow us to give you these kind of shots. Historically, it's a beautiful town, Karlovy Vary. Known as a spa town, really. Largest spa complex in Europe. City with a lot of history, traces its roots back to the late 1300s. And if you're wondering where we are geographically, we're about 80 miles west of Prague, 130 kilometers if you deal in metric.
Pretty close to the border of Germany as well, right? The east side of Germany.
So we're just showing you again the cycle route. And they've got 6.5 kilometers to ride before they get onto the kind of main circuit, if you like. It's a very cleverly designed course. And then they'll do 7 laps of just under 5 kilometers each, there you see, with that gradient on every lap, and that hill is tough.
So that looks like, well, it's definitely one of our Hungarian athletes, so that would probably be Marta Kropko and Maya Kingma there, number 2. Kropko just sitting on Maya Kingma's wheel. I don't know where the others are at the moment.
Have they managed to get away from the other 3?
Hope to get a shot soon. Doesn't look like there's anyone up the road. That looks like our lead car and our lead motorbike. There we go.
That's Sophia Howell. And then Sereni.
Jeff Coates. So Maya really, really putting the foot down at the front start of this bike course.
And this is going to be a critical moment for Jeff Coates. She has to at least get onto the back of Sereni and Howell ahead of her. Otherwise, she's going to be in no man's land.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this course approach is easy either. It's not flat. It's quite rolling and twisty and turny as well. So it's not just a jump on your bike and let's have a nice flat roll around to the 7-lap bike course. It is, you can see there's quite an incline there and they go through quite a few twists and turns. And Maya Kingma obviously taking the opportunity to really, really put her foot down and get going.
I do really like these kind of course designs where you kind of ride, in this case, 7 kilometers or so into the town centre. They did it initially, didn't they, in Leeds in the World Series, the first few races. And it just changes the dynamic completely. There's also that sense of anticipation from those that are waiting in the town centre. Many of them, as you said, in some of those lovely bars and restaurants that overlook the course. You get a fantastic view. And they'll have TV screens up there, so they'll be able to see exactly what's happening on this little run-in towards the centre of town.
Yeah, Leeds was great. You got that course approach through like the suburbia, the neighborhoods, all very quiet. And then, like you say, the suspense, you get into town with all the masses of crowds, with the age groupers having competed earlier. So yeah, similar here today. With it should be a wonderful atmosphere with all the spectators, the age group athletes having raced yesterday.
I think it went through Headingley, didn't it? The bike course in Leeds, past the cricket ground and the rugby ground.
Yeah, you did a whole little tour of Leeds.
Yeah.
So yeah, Maya Kingma, Marta Kropko. It was interesting reading some of Maya's reflections in Paris. She said she, a few times, I think, tried to make a bit of a breakaway on the bike in Paris. Unfortunately, couldn't stay away. I think she made 1 or 2 breaks. But I don't know if you remember, Trevor, in Bermuda, she had that excellent bike. She was in the chase pack, and she broke off the front of the chase pack up that hill in Bermuda and bridged up to Flora Duffy, who was solo on the front.
Yeah, would have won silver if she, and then she had that ankle problem, and I think she ended up 6th or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was a valiant effort to even finish the race, let alone come 6th. But
yeah,
it would have been a stone cold silver for sure without that injury.
Just remember that cycling prowess. It was extremely impressive. I think there's many people on a bike who can bridge up to Flora Duffy, so it just shows you Maya Kingma's bike strength. So the two of them, a bit of a gap there now. I'd say perhaps about 10 seconds they have.
Yeah, this is a real statement of intent from Kingma, and give Kropko huge credit for being able to go with us so far.
Just heading into town now. They'll go around that roundabout, and then they'll do a left turn, go over the water. A right turn, they'll go through a tunnel, and then they will head towards transition, where they'll start the first of these 7 laps of 4.9 kilometers.
Yeah, she's a really tough competitor, Kingma. You mentioned that race in Bermuda, but even in 2022, where she had a really injury-disrupted season, she still managed top 10s in Yokohama, in Hamburg, and in Cagliari. It must have been so frustrating for her the last couple of seasons, where she's just not been able to show us how good she is because of those injury issues. So let's hope they're firmly in the past, because she's a massive addition to the women's tour. Kropko on the wheel of Kingma. We haven't seen her do much work so far. Maybe she's going to the front here. Okay, good to see.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see them go up that hill for the first time. I think there you'll get an idea of, you know, who's got the legs today, who's feeling strong. Are there any weaknesses? Just entering this very pretty part of the city. Cobbles to contend with there. Maya having a quick glance behind.
Well, there's not too much danger at the moment, truth to tell. We'll get the first timings when they come around to complete their first lap. That'll tell us the gap back to, well, last we saw it was Sereni and Howell, wasn't it, with Jeffcoat kind of trying to hang on.
This looks like one of our chase groups, like 4 athletes just heading into town. They'll go around this loop through transition, and then they'll head up that iconic Karlovy Vary hill for the first time. 20% gradient in some parts, very, very challenging.
I don't think Kingman will mind having Kropko there at all, especially if Kropko does a little bit of the work on occasion.
Yeah, if she just gives her a little bit of respite now and again, I'm sure she'll appreciate that. So long as Kropko can just stick on Maya Kingma's wheel up the hill here. So just at the beginning of the hill here.
So they've got half a minute back to Hal, Jeffcoat and Sereni, these two.
Quite a substantial lead already.
Huge after just one lap.
Yeah. Our 3 chasers just heading towards the bottom of the hill. The hill's probably about 500 to 600 meters long, so pretty long, challenging. Here's our bigger chase group. Maria Tomei on the front of that group. Have a update with the time split there soon.
Looks like about a dozen athletes in that group.
Black Gina Sereno sitting on the back there. Annabelle Knoll is in there. Holly Elliott as well.
She hasn't raced much this year, Gina Sereno. It's only a 6th race of 2024. Best performance was a 5th place in the Watalco World Cup race back in May. But she has medalled at this level.
Yeah, she's a strong runner, isn't she?
Silvers at Vina Del Mar for the last 2 years behind Sandra Dode and Gwen Jorgensen respectively.
So minute 20, the Maria Tomei group behind the leaders. So we've got Maria Tomei in there, Petra Kurakova, one of our local Czech athletes, Steinhauser, Knoll, Roderick, Sereno, Lottie Miller. So we've got some strong cyclists in that group.
Well, it will be fascinating to see if they can make up any time on the leading 2. Because from the evidence so far, can't think that the Hal, Jeffcoat, Sereni triumvirate is going to make up time. In fact, it's probably going to go the other way, with Kingma storming away at the front and Kropko on the wheel.
Yeah, and the descent as well is a really important part of this bike course. You can, gain and lose a lot of time. We can just see the athletes heading towards the dead turn. So this is the far end of the course. They have a little bit of like a dog leg out and back section at the top of the hill. They'll do a dead turn at this cul-de-sac and then start descending. And there'll be a first opportunity for Maya Kingma and Marta Kropko to have a look at that gap that they've now managed to form. Just heading towards the top of the hill here. Can't see the chasers in sight at the moment. And I think they'll be very pleased that they can't see that chase group at the moment. So
psychologically, it's massive, isn't it? Kind of makes you feel right. We've done a huge amount of work here, and we've reaped the reward because we have put serious distance between ourselves and the nearest pursuers.
Yeah, and the first of 7 times up that hill now concluded.
Just looking back to see what Kropko's best World Cup performance is. I mean, she's obviously a young athlete. She's only 21, the Hungarian. Top 20 in Miyazaki. She was 12th in Chengdu, 10th in Weihai. So there's been evidence that she's certainly well capable of competing at this level.
Yeah, I think that 10th in Weihai, I think, is her best result. And managing to stick with Maya Kingma at the moment, so...
Which is no easy feat.
No. And here is our... We think this is our second chase group, unless they have Serigny and Kerr being caught, which I doubt they would have been caught so quickly. But this is a group with Maria Tomei, Verena Steinhauser, Lottie Miller, just making the turn at the top of the hill.
Yeah, it can't, because they were 50 seconds behind, weren't they? The chase group, the main chase group, the big chase group, were 50 seconds behind Hal, Jeffcoat and Sereni.
Just losing a few on the back of that group up the hill. Looks like it could be Lottie Miller.
It did, didn't it?
Yeah. Not having a good day, unfortunately. I think she's come off the course. I don't know if she's had a mechanical.
Well, things always come in threes, don't they? She came off the bike twice in Paris. It looks like there's been an issue already today.
So this is a descent back down into town. There's a paved section, and thankfully no rain today, because this can get quite slippery in the wet.
We've had enough rain after Paris. We don't need it again on another women's race.
We've got a beautiful day. No chance of rain here today. And then they've got a little bit of a cobbled section at the bottom where they do a 90-degree turn. So a little bit of a challenging section over here. they'll head back over the river and back towards transition. Both of them navigated that all right. Still together, the two of them, Maya Kingma, Marta Kropko. It's like Marta Kropko going to the front there, so doing her fair share of the work as well, which is great to see.
Well, obviously massively to her benefit if she and Kingma can stay or even increase the lead that they have in terms of Kropko getting a potentially a silver medal here. I mean, unlikely she's going to outrun Kingma, but you never know. But obviously the further ahead they get, for the youngster, chance of a first ever World Cup medal. A big chance of that happening.
Yeah, and what a statement, you know, after missing out on qualifying for the Paris Games. He seems to have come out really motivated, and it is an opportunity, these World Cups now. You know, some of those athletes who didn't qualify for the Olympics, just nice for them to have an opportunity. You know, they're probably galvanized, a little bit upset about not making it, and have the opportunity to come out strongly and perform. It's a bit of a strange time post-Olympics. You've got, you know, those athletes who've been to the games, they've achieved their goal, it's 4 years of hard work, and then you also have those athletes who unfortunately didn't qualify, so an opportunity for them to, I guess, prove a point, so to speak. Lots to still play for in the season.
Yeah, well, obviously the World Championship still up for grabs. And the final, as we mentioned, Torremolinos in October. Just got to be concentrated over these cobbles.
Yeah, and through the tunnel as well. The tunnel, I think quite a few athletes have fallen victim to that tunnel in past years. I think there's some manhole covers in that tunnel, and when it's a bright day like this as well, it's one of those tunnels that becomes dark enough that you can't really see what you're doing inside there. So just, yeah, no, lots of concentration, I guess, going through the tunnel and on these cobblestones. So these three chasers still together. Emma Jeffcoat on the front there. So it'll be interesting to see what that time split is. It was 29 seconds, I think, at the last.
I just think it can only go one way. With King's power at the front, we'll see in a minute. So coming round to complete their second lap of 7 now. These two leaders. Just think with the power of Kingma there, she's just going to keep punishing the three behind.
Yeah, she'll relish the spike course. She absolutely loves climbing, super strong. That Bermuda race just always sticks in my head. I remember watching them go up that hill.
They've renamed it Flora Duffy Hill now, haven't
yes, they have, yes.
It was Corkscrew Hill.
Yes, that's it, Corkscrew.
Yeah.
I just remember her cycling off the front of the group and leaving everyone in her dust and just bridging up to Flora Duffy.
Yeah.
So we know she likes climbing.
And if you can bridge up to Flora Duffy on a bike, you are a serious cyclist. That is for sure. So we're going to find out when those three come through what the deficit is, but it's definitely more than half a minute. just counting in my head, it's more than half a minute.
Minute and 7 seconds.
Wow. So 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's gone up 40 seconds on one lap. Quite something. And it's quite something to think that Maya Kingma's only had one World Cup podium, and I think that's probably, like you mentioned, Trevor, she's had quite a lot of bad luck with
injuries and perhaps doesn't actually put herself on that many World Cup start lines. So her one and only World Cup podium was actually here in Karlovy Vary back in 2020 when she finished third. We remember that race was won by Flora Duffy. It was a really, really competitive race because it was during COVID and there weren't many races happening. So I suppose you could say it was probably a World Triathlon Series type standard race. Yeah. She finished third in that. But yeah, her only World Cup podium. We know obviously she's had podiums at World Triathlon Championship Series level.
that magnificent race she had in Leeds back in 2021.
She was phenomenal that day, and Duffy was in the field in that race as well. From memory, Duffy came third in that Leeds race, just leading up to the Olympics.
So this chase group has definitely made up some time to the Emma, Jeff, Coates, Seregni and Howell group.
20 seconds back now they are.
Yeah.
And they were 50 seconds back before, so they've made up half a minute on one lap. They're going to catch on.
Yeah, they're reeling them in.
Unless something extraordinary happens. But even then, riding around in a group of what will probably be about 15, I can't see them making any time up on. I think they're going to keep losing time to Kingma and Kropka.
Yeah, I think Kingma and Kropka look super strong. You can see Kropka now on the front, so she's not just sitting on Maya Kingma's wheel.
Huge credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Showing how well she's cycling. She's obviously worked extremely well. Come out in full force here today, in great shape. Take that dead turn, and they'll see no one behind them.
No news of any penalties, I don't think, which is good. I can tell you that Tanja Strohschneider is out of the race. Don't know if that's a mechanical or some other issue, but the Austrian won't finish today.
Looks like Lottie Miller is still continuing, so she might have had a technical issue going up that hill, but she's still there.
She's 3 minutes back.
Yeah, unfortunately 3 minutes back.
I mean, you look at some of the names. I mean, Annabelle Knowles a minute 30 back. They go similar. They're obviously in the same bike group.
So.
And here we are. They're going to catch them now. So the likes of Hal Seregni and Jeffco now find themselves part of a much bigger group, chasing the two leaders, but chasing some way behind.
Yeah, this group now will become 12, I think. See one of the athletes just falling off the back there.
$11.5. We'll call it. But yeah, if she gets back on, that'll be a dozen in the chasing group.
These two already heading back into town. We know at the last time split was 1 minute and 7 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on that for the end of the third lap here. And Maya Kingma likes to spend a lot of time on her gravel bike during the off-road, so very skilled cyclist as well. I think anyone living in the Netherlands probably grows up on a bicycle, don't they?
They do.
And we've got some strong runners in that chase group. Kurakova, we know, is a strong runner. Maria Tome, also a strong runner. Gina Serino. So Maya Kingma is not feeling totally confident with her run. She'll be wanting to try and make that gap as big as possible come the 10K run. Will make her life just a little bit easy. And similarly with Marta Kropko as well.
Kropko's really working hard. I just wondered whether she'd kind of be content to sit on Kingma's wheel for potentially 40 kilometers, but not the case at all.
No, and kudos to her. She's cycling extremely strongly. Still very, very young athletes as well.
Yeah, 21 she is, Kropko. So into the tunnel they go, out the other side, and they are, well, just storming away from every other athlete in this World Cup race.
Kropko taking on some gels there.
Just for those who maybe don't follow triathlon regularly, Gillian, what What are the kind of stuff that they take on board, like you just said, with the gel for Hungary?
Yeah, it'll be a bit of nutrition, some glucose. In a race like this, is quite a long Olympic distance race. We know they're going to be out there for over 2 hours, so important to probably take on 2 gels. There'll be some electrolytes as well in there. Yeah, probably 2 gels throughout the whole race. She'll probably take one now on perhaps lap 3, and then maybe on the second to last or last lap of the bike. Just some nutrition. Don't think you'd be able to get through an Olympic distance race, particularly a long one like this, without taking nutrition on board. Some athletes will prefer to just have it in their water bottle. They might carry 2 bottles, one with water and one with a carb drink. Some electrolytes in that carb drink. Sprint distance, you can probably get away with not taking on any nutrition. It's short enough, the hour, anything an hour or less. But as soon as you go over an hour, then nutrition does become important. It's going to be warm when they hit the run as well, so those electrolytes will also be important.
Yeah, they were saying actually the temperature might get up to about nearly 30 later this afternoon when the men are racing. It's currently 11:15 local time, Karlovy Vary.
Yeah, if your electrolytes are out of balance, you know, this is a hard course, so having to work really hard up that hill, you know, you have potential for cramping to occur, that type of thing, which you definitely don't want to happen on this course. Do you remember an athlete, I don't know if it was Julie Darren, cramping on this course in the past on the run?
Yes.
Someone had to stop.
Yes.
Yes. Might not have been her, might have been one of the German athletes, but I do vaguely remember that. So they're having to work really hard up this hill. So I think the nutrition, particularly on a course like this, is important.
So they're already onto their 4th lap, these 2 women. The gap between themselves and the chasers, when the chasers came through on the previous lap, was 1 minute and 7.
Haven't come through yet.
Yeah, no surprise to see Kingma doing the work up the hill.
Yeah, and you can see both of the athletes are staying seated. You might be wondering why they're not getting out of the saddle. It is a long hill, so to be out of the saddle for the whole hill, probably quite hard on the legs. So probably just sitting down on the flatter parts of the hill. They'll get out of the saddle on those steeper sections. I think the hill about 500, 600 meters long in total, so quite a climb to get up.
So just about to come through transition, these chasers, and it's gone out another half a minute. Wow.
Yeah, another 30 seconds there that Kingma and Kropko have managed to gain.
I mean, the way this is going, Gillian, they could be potentially 3 minutes clear when they come off the bikes.
Yeah, because we're not quite halfway through, we're more or less halfway through the bike course, aren't we? And we've got 1.5 minutes. So yeah, could be close to 3 minutes. And particularly if this group lose some motivation as well, which sometimes happens. Although we know that, you know, we've only got 2 athletes up the road. We know that there are still medals up for grabs. That bronze medal is still dangling there.
We're calling it early. we're giving Kingma and Kropko the gold and silver in whatever order, but
might come back to bite us.
Maybe. So they are basically halfway through the bike in terms of distance, even though they're just on the start of the 4th lap, the leaders. 4th lap of 7, because they had that 6K ride into town initially.
10K run is a long way, and you wouldn't want to give the likes of a Gina Serino, for example, a Steinhauser, Tome Serigny.
Yeah.
They probably only need 2 minutes to be able to run that into the likes of a Kropko, for example. So yeah, we shouldn't be calling the race too soon, Trevor. But yeah, let's see what happens. I think it's going to be exciting regardless. And all the incentive for these 2 athletes at the front here to try and make that gap as big as possible, because I think it's much easier to be leading from the front than chasing, particularly when you're in a middle position. Probably have more control over the situation.
You won't be surprised to learn that Croc has never won a senior race. She's won 5 junior races. So this would be a total game changer if she was able to reach the top step on the podium. But to be honest, a medal of any colour would be a phenomenal achievement for a young athlete. I could be wrong, I'm just checking, but I don't think Kingma's won a race since that Leeds triumph. It's not quite true. She won the national championships, the Dutch national championships, literally a month after she won in Leeds. But in terms of an international race, that was her last win more than 3 years ago.
That would be wonderful for her. The adversity that she's had to deal with her injuries.
To the naked eye, does not look, and there hasn't at any stage, that much urgency in that chasing group. I mean, they must have been going reasonably well to catch on to the 3 women ahead of them. But then when we saw the Jeffco Sereni little chasing group, they didn't look like they had much urgency either.
No, and I think it was Annabelle Knoll on the front of that group as they came to the top of the hill there.
Well, she's one that could certainly come into play on the run in terms of, you know, if we're looking at potential bronze medalists, Knoll would be a candidate for sure.
And it just feels like she's starting to come back into a bit of form. 17th in Hamburg, that was a really good result for her. 14th in Tizzy, and she's had 2 European Cup podiums as well this year.
Yeah, I mentioned we just hadn't seen her on the World Championship Series for a year till she came back in Hamburg.
Yeah. So good to see her back and getting stronger and stronger as the races go on. Status quo remains at the front of the field. Maya Kingma, Marta Kropko. They both seem to have favoured parts of the course. I think we always see Marta Kropko go to the front on this part when they're starting to go through the tunnel. Maya Kingma seems to lead the first part of the hill, which I think is probably quite handy. They're probably working to each other's strengths and weaknesses. You know, if you're riding in a pair like this, you'll often go to the front on that part of the course where you feel like a little bit stronger compared to the other person.
She was saying in that interview we've been talking about with Maya Kingma how much she loves Karlovy Vary as a city, as a race venue. And, you know, in triathlon, it very often is horses for courses. And if you have somewhere where you feel comfortable, obviously it's going to be potentially a stop on the calendar for you.
It's a beautiful city. It's absolutely stunning. Almost looks like a bit of a movie set as you walk through the alleyways.
And the kind of multicolored houses.
Yeah.
It is like a film set.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. It's one of those places where you would never think to go and visit as a tourist destination. You go to race and you think, well, why didn't I come and visit here as a tourist? It just takes, you know, it's very, very surprising how beautiful it is.
Well, I think the secret's out because it is now a popular tourist destination. I mean, not as popular as obviously some of the beach resorts, but still. Because apart from the spas, there's a bunch of magnificent churches. And actually there's, Europe has one of the oldest and most important film festivals here each year as well. They actually shot some of the scenes from Casino Royale, the Bond film, back in 2006, filmed in Karlovy Vary.
One to put on your destination list if you haven't already been there.
And these two are neither shaken nor stirred at the front because they are going further and further away from those chasing. Just in complete control of the situation, this duo, and they have done, well, from the water, to be honest, not just on the bike, but since they got on the bike and dropped Jeff Coates, Sereni and Howe, coming through now to complete their 4th lap. What was the gap? 1:37 previously. We might have to wait a couple of minutes till we see the chasers.
Yeah, I mean, we'd expect that to go out again. It's 1:37, so we'll wait a little while and see. So we've got Emma Jeffcoat on the front of the group here. Got both our Italians in there now, Steinhauser and Seregni. Local athlete Petra Kurikova. She'll be hoping to stay in that group and have a strong run. Go after medal. Home ground. Both are Kiwi athletes as well in there. Got Ray Roderick and Eva Goodison. 2 young, promising athletes from New Zealand.
Yeah, I mentioned that race that Roderick had in the test event a year ago. She was 34th in Montreal last year on her World Triathlon Championship Series debut. Top 30 in Hamburg this season. 5th in a Europe Cup race a couple of months ago in Austria.
She's still only under 23 as well, so lots of promise for the future.
Yeah, 22 she is.
Eva Goodison as well. She had that 7th in Miyazaki back in 2022, so has shown some promise on the World Cup circuit. It's Petra Kurikova now on the front of that group.
Right, so now we're going to get the time. 4 laps down, 3 to go, and 1:37 has become a bigger number, surely. Well, yes, not quite as much of a extension, I guess you'd say, but still, the lead is nearly 2 minutes.
Yeah, they've managed to lose 15 seconds on that lap, so not as much as the previous lap. See Petra Kurikova, one of our local Czech athletes, just on the front of the group there, trying to get everyone organized and moving. Annabelle Knoll as well. We've pretty much seen Annabelle Knoll at the front of the chase group here on every climb. See the athletes just getting out of their saddles and then sitting down as they round that corner where it flattens off a little bit. Sereno, Seregni on the back of that chase group there.
We've also had an athlete lapped, which means you're taken out of the race.
Oh dear.
Margareta Bikanova of Slovakia. End of the 2nd lap on the bike was lapped.
Yeah, tough day out. Like we mentioned, Trevor, in such a small field like this, the potential for gaps to open is pretty high. There's no way to, well, on this course anyway, even if it isn't a small field, there's nowhere to hide. I think we heard Maya Kingma, she gave an interview before the race saying Karlovy Vary with this hill, there's absolutely nowhere to hide, and that's why it favors the strong cyclists. So Petra Kurikova was 29th in Paris at the Olympics. That's her best Olympic performance. 2-time Olympian. Has obviously raced in Karlovy Vary numerous times. Her best was a 4th back in 2019. So she'll be hoping to improve upon that 4th place, and wouldn't be that wonderful for her to try and podium at home. 4th in Brasilia as well in World Cup last year. So she's done pretty well on the World Cup circuit, and she won that World Cup in Pontevedra as well back in 2022.
It's going to be the multi-sports venue next year, I think, Pontevedra.
Yes, indeed.
Having staged the grand final last year.
Home, of course, to Javier Gomez.
I remember at that grand final last year, and bear in mind Gomez obviously been retired for a few years, for short course racing at least, and after the men's grand final, I have never seen so many people waiting outside the entrance to the, it's like a little stadium where we finished the race, just to get a glimpse of Javier Gomez and get his autograph or a selfie or whatever. Absolutely astonishing. He's kind of a total legend in that town.
Well, he's one of the icons of short course racing, isn't he? I would say, along with the Brownlees.
Yeah.
They certainly, you know, icons of world triathlon racing. And he's obviously left a bit of a legacy in the city of Pontevedra because they've played host to quite a few championships.
An indelible mark, yeah. I think that scene will be repeated pretty much every time there's a major race there. Because you know he's going to show up, present an award or whatever, and the world comes out with their autograph books. So we're exactly an hour in now to this Karlovy Vary World Cup. Very tough course, yet again has taken its toll on a small field here, with Maja Kingma and Marta Kropko completely dominating proceedings, nearly 2 minutes ahead of the pursuing dozen women.
You could just see the gap from that aerial shot that formed between Maja Kingma and Marta Kropko on that descent. Just shows you Maja Kingma's bike skills and her descending. She's just absolutely incredible on the bike. Doesn't seem to have taken any strength out of the legs from Kropko. She's back to the front on her favorite part of the course as they approach the tunnel. And she obviously knows that Maya's a better descender than her, so, you know, Maya will go to the front on the descent, and then once they hit the bottom, she takes her turn through the tunnel here as they approach transition.
They got the tactics worked out spot on, haven't they, those two?
Yeah, they seem to be working really well together. I'm sure Maya's very, very happy to have company, and similarly, Marta Kropko happy to have the company of someone like Maja Kingma. Now Chase is just still on the descent. Amy Legault just a little bit trailing off the back of that group, maybe not as confident descending. The last time check we got was 1 minute 51. They'd gained about 15 seconds on the previous lap, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether that's gone out some more. It's highly likely that it's been maintained. Don't seem to be letting up at all. Just seems to be rotating through and working really, really well together. It looks like, you know, they're spending perhaps a minute on the front each.
Yeah.
Taking their turn, and then the other one rolls through. There are chasers, they've just descended. They're going to cross back over the river and head towards the tunnel. It looks like Verena Steinhauser on the front there.
Still 12 together in that chasing group.
Yeah, and getting some great drone shots here. Two Czech athletes in that chase group. We've also got Dana Krikilova, I think, as well.
So another lap completed. These two just going further and further away from the rest of the field. We'll get the exact gap in a couple of minutes' time when the chasers come through.
Not giving away much on the facial expressions there. All business at the moment. Chase group, Seregni, Sophia. So that's Amy Legault sitting on the back. Amy Legault and Bianca Seregni. I don't think we've lost anyone from this group. It was 12. I think we're still 12 athletes in this chase group.
Yeah, I think there are.
Yes, they're just heading past one of the thermal hotels there. You can see that interesting shaped roof there. Lots of lovely spa hotels, which they'll probably be able to enjoy after the race. The thermal healing waters, Petra Kurakova on the front, Marina Steinhauser, Annabelle Knoll. Those three athletes seem to be doing most of the work on the front of this this chase group.
Yeah, Jeff Coate right in the middle of that chasing group. Right, so now we're going to find out what the gap is. (2:12). So actually, that's a
21 seconds.
Yeah. So more than they were able to reduce it to on the previous lap.
Yeah, and like I said to you, Trevor, I reckon around 2 minutes is borderline, you know, the deficit, that they don't want to give away much more than that. Some of these faster runners like Petra Kurakova, Gina Serino, you know, they might be able to run that into the likes of a Marta Kropko, younger, you know, less experienced athlete. Someone's had a mechanical here, number 14. That's Eva Goodison of New Zealand. It looks like she unfortunately dropped her chain, or the chain's got stuck there. That's bitterly disappointing for her.
Yeah, part swimmer, part cyclist, part mechanic. Looks like she might have been able to fix that, but obviously lost a lot of ground in the process.
Just caught sight of our second chase group coming through there. Almeida of Portugal, Teresa Zimanova, Romana Gajasova. So she's back on her bike, that's good to see, but unfortunately has lost quite a lot of time. Goodison, so really bad luck for her there.
It's going to be a lonely place to race, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Hauser racing with the likes of De Bruyn and Zimunova, Jusova and Rossmann. They're nearly 4 minutes back. There we go, 3:46.
Yeah, unfortunately, Goodison, she might have been shifting from her big chainring to a small chainring, and it's just slipped off, unfortunately. Sometimes this happens when you're about to go up a big climb. Sometimes it's an easy fix to try and get it back on again, but other times, yeah, unfortunately, you're having a bit of bad luck there. The chain getting stuck or coming off. My Kingma tucked in there, getting really nice and aerodynamic. Trying to eke out every second by the looks of it.
Well, they're doing a grand job, aren't they, the two at the front? Untroubled, unchallenged. And just increasing that lead every single lap. I reckon it's going to be around 3 minutes, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think it'll be close to that. See the beautiful architecture there. Town centre. It's a hotel on the right of the picture. Stayed in that hotel, Trevor. Very nice hotel.
Well, I know you. It's only 5-star stuff for you, Jim.
Did a good breakfast.
You can see the crowd building up a little bit, and by the time we get to the men's race this afternoon, there'll be a lot of people in the town centre, sitting in restaurants and bars, enjoying the action.
Back with our leaders here. It's like they've already descended and they're heading back towards transition again. I don't know if they've gone through the tunnel yet. I think they might have gone through the tunnel already, and then they'll be heading, it's almost like a false flat. It's a bit of a climb up the river back towards transition. Yeah, they're just about to enter the tunnel there. Another of our hotels, the Hotel Thermal, the host hotel. Got some lovely swimming pools there.
Kropko again. This time she's going to take a pull at the front. The way these two have shared the workload has been exemplary, really.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive riding by both of them. And I think Kropko was bitterly disappointed on missing out. She was fairly close to qualifying. I think she had a bit of bad luck, and maybe, you know, when you're chasing points and you're traveling all over the world, it can be really, really tough, and, you know, it becomes psychologically as well as physically demanding, and she just, unfortunately, I think, wasn't able to perform in those last few races. But it's amazing once the pressure's off and, you know, she's now can race freely, I suppose.
Yeah.
Enjoy herself and show what she's capable of. And she'll only gain more and more confidence from a performance like this here today. She's riding with one of the best in the world. So great confidence boost for the young Hungarian athlete.
Yeah, the fact that she's managed to stay with Kingma when Jeff Coates, Sereni and Howe were dropped on the first lap, quite early in the first lap actually, should be a huge boost for her.
It was Matt Wright who's coming up in the men's race later today of Barbados. He was saying he's just looking forward to not chasing points, to racing a bucket list race on the circuit and just enjoying himself. So, you know, sometimes when the pressure's off and you can just go and enjoy yourself, you know, you can pull a really impressive performance out the hat.
So, a couple of laps to go now on the bike, so that equates to round about 10 kilometres, so they're 3/4 of the way through in terms of distance.
Chasers are just heading into the tunnel.
Looks like they might have, I'm not quite sure there were 12 there, you know.
When they came round on the last lap, it was, so they might have lost someone along the way. We'll try and have a bit of a count from the naked eye.
Uphill section, which means Kingma on the front. It's almost identical, isn't it, what they do each lap? They've got it absolutely planned to perfection here.
They've got their system, and the system seems to be working, so why not? I think I counted 12, but that was a very quick count, in which case they might all be there. Could have been 11, though. Yeah, these are 12 chase athletes, we think 12, heading up the river. On the opposite side of the river there, that is part of the run course where they'll be doing their 4 run laps later. It's a beautiful run course through the city centre, and also quite challenging. It's not a flat place, is it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't get that much easier when you get out on your running shoes.
Gina Sereno, I think, has just stayed at the back of this group the entire bike, and, you know, she's probably having one of those days where she's not feeling great. She's probably not riding there intentionally, you know, not to do any work. Sometimes you're just having one of those days where your legs aren't feeling great and you're just hanging in there, so possibly just sitting there trying to conserve as much energy as she can if she isn't feeling great.
I counted 11.
Ah, okay, so we have lost someone.
Well, don't completely trust me. I think there's 11 there, though, Julie. Well, we'll find out now, because we're going to get the timings as well. What was it, 2:14 or something last time? Something like that?
Yes.
Now it's 2:35.
You're absolutely correct. We have lost someone, and that was Eva Goodison, who had her mechanical. Yes,
yeah.
yes. So lost a little bit more time. 2 minutes 35. head up this hill for the second to last time.
Getting some vocal encouragement.
Yeah, the crowds are starting to form on that hill there. It's always a great spot to watch.
Yeah, they had a bit of a Sunday morning lie-in, some of them, I think. Now they're up and about. Sereni just struggling a little bit, going up that hill.
Yeah, I think we mentioned earlier she had COVID after Paris, so she might still be struggling a little bit off the back of that. She certainly wasn't struggling in the swim, really pushing the pace in the swim. But I think on a bike course like this, like we've mentioned a few times now, there's absolutely nowhere to hide. With Sereno, perhaps she's got the legs there, Trevor, coming to the front now.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll definitely be one of those to watch out for on the run, for sure. Curious to see how Roderick goes, actually, on the run. They're not a million miles away. The leaders are halfway through their penultimate lap.
And maybe Sereno getting some information on the course that time has gone out to 2.5 minutes, which is reaching a point where, you know, that's really hard to run Marta Kropko, Maya Kingma down. It's quite a large deficit now, so maybe deciding, you know, she needs to push on in these last 2 laps and try and let that time split not go out any more than it has already. Our only US athlete on the women's start list today. Race won last year by Gwen Jorgensen of the USA. Really, really exciting sprint finish between her and Rachel Klammer.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal race, wasn't it, to watch? The last 5 or 10 minutes of that, absolutely gripping.
Kropko on the front now on this part of the descent. Heading onto that paved section through the shopping area. I'll head down to the bottom of the hill where you can see that monument. A little bit of a cobbled section there to navigate. Shouldn't be a problem in today's beautiful weather conditions.
Yeah, it's been shirt sleeve order since probably dawn this morning here.
Some beautiful late summer weather.
Waiting patiently for the triathletes to arrive at their particular part of the course.
Yeah, and presumably this part of the world gets quite cold in winter. It's been quite a different place. These lovely hot thermal springs and baths on a snowy winter's day. We're enjoying some late summer weather here in Europe. So business as usual at the front end. Kropko and Kingma about to enter the tunnel, and then they'll approach transition and they'll be able to head off on their last lap of the bike.
Glorious blue skies in Karlovy Vary. For these two women, it's a magnificent situation to be in. Coming towards the end of their 6th lap of 7.
Yeah, and you can see Kropko there taking on that second gel. We said she'd most likely take it on in the second to last or last lap. You want that to be in your system once you hit the run.
It'll be fascinating. I mean, assuming she is going to get on the podium, but it'll be fascinating to hear the interview that she does with us, because I wonder if she's kind of surprised herself by being, you know, able to go with Kingma when no one else was able to.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear what she has to say. And I don't know if she was also perhaps injured at the latter part of the qualification period, because she didn't race for that Hungarian team in that mixed relay qualification event in Kotelko. We had one of the other younger Hungarians racing. I'm with Jeanette Brugmeier. Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what she has to say.
Well, she's been superb, excellent in the water and really good on the bike, sticking with Kingma as they come round shortly to complete their 6th lap, and it'll be a nice sound to hear the bell, I would imagine, for both these women momentarily.
I did notice she had some strapping on her right leg. See, just on the inside of her shin there. So hopefully she's not carrying a bit of an injury into this race. It could just be strapping off the back of an injury that she's recovered from. We hope.
So they'll come through and take the bell here with just 1 lap to go, which means just 5 Ks before they set out on the run. And the Kingma-Kropko duo are 2.5 minutes plus clear, and it might be 3 pretty soon.
And if Kropko has been injured and, you know, she's not at her full peak run-wise, she'll draw confidence from the fact if she has, you know, 3 minutes. That's quite a substantial deficit to try and run down. And it's quite a good buffer to have, isn't it?
Huge, yeah. I mean, if you break it down time-wise, we know that it's 4 equal laps. So basically, anyone catching her would have to make up 45 seconds per lap, on average.
Yeah, so about 20 seconds odd per kilometre. I'm not the best at maths, Trevor.
Something like that. Something like that. No, you're not far
Perhaps
off.
your maths brain
No, you're not.
can work it out.
You're not far off. But I think where we're agreed, it would be a Herculean task.
Indeed, yes.
I mean, we're assuming it's going to be around 3 minutes. The last time we got a check, it was 2:35, and that was at the end of the 5th lap. So this chase group are going to come through fairly shortly, and then we'll see what 2:35 has become. But judging on what's happened in the previous laps, it's going to be 2:50 minimum in the 4th.
And what often happens as well on the second to last or last lap, the athletes in a chase group might sit up a little bit with a view to, you know, the run and recovering their legs, that type of thing. So I would tend to agree with you. I think it's going to be close to 3 minutes. Saw Petra Kurakova again on the front there. She'll be doing her best to try and keep that deficit as low as possible. She is. Annabelle Knoll.
So now we'll get the timing. It's actually only gone out about 8 seconds on that lap. So that was their best lap so far. Only lost 8 seconds.
Yeah, so 2 minutes, 43 seconds the gap. They can try and keep that below 3 minutes. There might still be a little bit of a sniff. Marta Kropko heading up to the dead turn. Last time up the hill for these two athletes. An absolutely stellar bike ride by Marta Kropko and Maya Kingma, and they'll be very relieved to turn around that cone for the last time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, our chase group here is just heading up the hill. Probably on one of the steepest part of the hill there. Settling back into their saddles now. Annabelle Knoll, you can see Maria Tome there, Emma Jeffcoat, Verena Steinhauser, Emi Legault, Bianca Seregni. Our young Czech athlete, Krajkulova.
So unless something ridiculous happens, you'd have thought that those 11 women potentially are going to have a 10,000 meter shootout for the bronze medal here.
Yeah, and like we've mentioned, there's a lot of really strong run power there. Petra Kurakova, Annabelle Knoll, Bianca Seregni, Serino, Steinhauser. Maria Tomei, I would say those athletes are probably the strongest runners in that group. Kurikova not having podiumed here before and on home soil. She'll be gunning for a strong performance on the run. I think she competed in a 70.3 recently. She won the Czech half Ironman 70.3 recently. I don't think it was as recent to still be in her legs, hopefully for her sake. Those do take a little bit out of the legs.
Yeah, Goodison, who we saw have that mechanical issue, she's now nearly 5 minutes back. And Lottie Miller is currently 5.5 minutes behind the leader. I think she may have had some kind of issue with her bike or some kind of incident. She's still in the race, but way, way behind.
Yeah, the way she rounded that dead turn at the top of the hill, she almost went out of camera shot. It almost looked like she was trying to resolve something on her bike before she descended. Speaking of descending, here come our lead athletes, Marta Kropko, Maya Kingma, heading on to the descent for the last time.
Just got to keep their concentration, make sure that they dismount before the line, don't have any issues not putting their helmet in the box or any of that kind of stuff.
You don't want to give away unnecessary time to those chasing behind.
First race for ages that, so far at least, no time penalties.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah. We seem to have had a spate of them in races. That's why I mention it, but none so far today.
I guess the wetsuit eliminates some of that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And almost like clockwork, Kropko goes to the front on that particular section of the course. They've not got far to go, actually, until they come off the bikes, the two leaders.
No, they've got this section, this, I guess, gradual climb up the river. Perhaps about a kilometer or so to transition. See the crowd starting to grow there around the transition area. You can see the penalty box, which looks nice and shiny and clean. No numbers in the penalty box for now.
No, let's hope it stays that way. A little bit of liquid taken on board by the Hungarian. I wonder whether Kingma would have ridden 40k solo if Kropko hadn't been able to go with her. We've seen it done occasionally. Duffy's done it in Bermuda. Taylor Knibb rode at least half a race on her own in Edmonton a couple of years ago. It's possible, but it's rare.
Yeah, I would say high likelihood.
Yeah. Well, I think with this smaller field, yeah, probably.
Yeah, smaller field and harder course as well, I guess. Conducive to staying away, isn't it?
Yeah, and definitely to her advantage that Kropko has been able to go with her.
Yeah, it's been great that they've had each other to work with. They've definitely been able to extend that lead even more, sharing the load. So Kropko's made a concerted effort to put in her fair share of work. You see that and doing their shoes there, just preparing for that dismount.
Well, they shouldn't have to wait too much longer because the two leaders are just about to come into T2. Here they come. Must be off before the line. That looks absolutely fine. Kingma's going to go to stand number 2. Kropko number 21. It's all about more haste, less speed. Make sure the helmet's in the box.
Looks like it's in the box. No issues there. Kropko with a really speedy transition as well.
And they're out side by side. Well, they've done so much hard work, these two. And it looks like it's gold and silver, but in which order? Kingma already wanting to go to the front. And it's going to be a major battle, you would think, for Krotko to stay with her, but we'll see. Already there's a little bit of a gap.
Yeah, Kingma just taking her headband off there, tucking it into the tri-suit. Krotko taking on some fluid, some water over the head, starting to get really warm. Heating up to about 29 degrees here for these athletes. Maya Kingma already with a gap there. So a narrow course, quite a lot of cobbles, quite a bit of up and down. It's not a straightforward course. You have to keep concentrating. There's a bit of like an out and back section as well, which is kind of an uphill as well. Uphill, dead turn and downhill back. I'd say one of the more interesting run courses on the circuit as well.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the most challenging, for sure.
Still awaiting the chase group. It was 2 minutes 43 was the gap. Kingma just heading past one of the spa buildings on the left there. See the cones dividing, they'll head back along the section as well. See everyone enjoying their morning there on the benches under the trees.
It's clear that Kingma's not, at the moment, because of the various issues that she's had, injury-wise in the operation, not yet running at her absolute best, not back to her absolute best. And here's the proof of it. Just looking at that race in Paris where she finished 7th. So she ran 34.42. Now, obviously, you can't compare courses. However, what you can do is look at the times of the other stellar runners in that field. So Cassandre Beaugrand, who won the gold medal, of course, ran exactly 2 minutes quicker than Kingma. Now, you would expect Beaugrand to run quicker. She's arguably the fastest runner in the sport. Maybe Beth Potter would have an argument the other way. But the fact that she's 2 minutes slower, I don't think a Kingma fully fit and race fit would be 2 minutes slow. She'd be closer than that. So here's the gap. We can get the gap then with these chasers coming into transition.
It's 3 minutes and 6 seconds, so they did lose a further 15 to 20 odd seconds on that last lap.
So we were 6 seconds out. Not bad.
Not bad at all. Petra Kurakova, helmet off, shoes on. Maria Tomei out first of the chasers. Annabelle Knoll, Steinhauser, Seregni, Howell, Jeff Coate there. Sereno.
Tomei had a great race in Paris, didn't she? 11th place. That was an eye-catching run. Yeah. And she ran the anchor leg in the relay and got Portugal into 5th place.
Yeah, she had a cracking Olympics, both individually and in the mixed team relay.
Never won a World Cup medal, so this could be a little bit of personal history for her. Of course, she was 2nd in the Under-23 World Championships in Pontevedra at the back end of last year.
She was 12th in Karlovy Vary in 2023, so likelihood that she will improve upon that. And career best in a World Cup 6th back in New Plymouth in 2023. Just feels like one of those athletes who's just improving, you know, year after year. She's still really, really young. It just feels like she's growing in confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, just turned 23. She was 23 in June, Tomei.
She's from the outskirts of Lisbon, the coastal area of Lisbon, where those beautiful beaches are.
Just showing you the run course, and there is a gradient on it, as we were mentioning, and lots of narrow turns as well.
Yeah, that little out and back section, that's a bit of an incline. Yeah, we speak of that. That's exactly where Maya Kingma is at the moment. Run alongside those hot plants. She'll make a dead turn and then she'll head back down that incline.
Well, only halfway through the first lap, and already there is serious daylight between Kingma and Krotko.
See Krotko here. Looks like she's running with potentially a gel in her hand there. See that strapping on her ankle there. Hopefully nothing serious. There's our chasers just heading along the river. And there are quite a lot of sections on this run course where you're able to see everyone. You can just see Maya Kingma there. She'll be able to see, I guess, the back markers of that chase group going through, so she'll know exactly how much of a gap she has. Looks like she's running strongly. But yeah, you're right, Trevor. I think, you know, you mentioned that she ran 2 minutes slower than Cassandre Beaugrand. And by her own admission, you know, she ordinarily wouldn't be that far behind. You know, we know she's won leads. And she's had some really strong performances in the World Triathlon Championship Series races where she would have been much closer on the run. So yeah, she's probably going to gain form more and more as the year goes on. But it's just over a month until the grand final. She might come into some pretty good shape heading into that race.
Yeah. So past the spa in the cobbled section of the course here, Kingma.
Make her way back up towards transition. She's just approaching where the bottom of that the hill on the bike is. See Lottie Miller heading out there onto the run.
Well, good to see that she's stuck with it and she's still in the race after what we thought must be some kind of a bike issue.
See any numbers on the penalty box there. Nothing's coming up on our systems at the moment either. Looks like no penalties, which is good news.
This looks completely relaxed, completely focused. Shook off Marta Krotko in very early stages. There's Krotko. You would think racing for silver.
Yeah, I think Krotko just needs to keep calm, you know, keep those positive thoughts. She has, or had, a 3-minute buffer heading into the run. So hopefully there's someone out on the course also feeding her some information as well. They'll be able to let her know how far the chasers are behind.
Yeah, the interesting timing when she's completed her first lap and then the chasers have. We can see, presume they will make inroads, but the question is how much of an inroad. So Krotko coming through to complete her first lap of 4.
Yeah, so the chasers would need to be putting in about 45 seconds per lap. So if that deficit is around 2:15, then we know we are potentially in for a foot race for that silver and bronze as well.
Yeah, and that's why it's important for Krotko. She needs to try, and it's easier said than done, needs to try and run a fairly even pace. What she doesn't want to do is kind of extend herself too early and end up, you know, having a very slow last lap and allowing people to catch on from more than 45 seconds back. Sereno at the front, it looks like, with Kubikova of those chasers.
Tome and Serigny. Steinhauser just a bit further back. So yeah, as expected, those 4 probably of the stronger runners. I think it will be key to see what that split is when they come through transition. So Marta Krotko 45 seconds behind Maya Kingma. She's lost 45 seconds to Kingma.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
45 seconds was the...
Yeah. So when the first chaser, who I think It's either Kurikova or Serena, they're kind of running together. But when they go through to complete their first lap, then we'll see.
Yes, we're just awaiting that split. Won't be long because our 2 lead athletes have gone through for their first lap. And then we've got the Serena, Kurikova, Seregni and Tome group chasing.
Kingler's just lapped one of the Czech athletes.
Stopova. He looks comfortable. She looks like she's got some spring in her step, Maya. She doesn't look flat. She looks like she's running technically well.
Well, for the first time in a long time, she's fully fit. She loves the venue, coming off the back of a morale-boosting performance in the Olympics. It's all good for her for a long while. First time for a long while. Say that. So here's Kurikova, along with Sereno. So they're now out on their second lap of 4.
Steinhauser a little bit further back. Go, and her. So 3 minutes and 3 seconds to Kingma. 2 minutes 15 to Kropko.
So that's gonna be, this is gonna
Which
be
is exactly
right
what,
on the button, isn't it?
right on the button. They managed to run 45 seconds into Kropko, which they need to be doing on each lap. And if they manage to maintain that, then we are going to have a race on.
And they will have coaches and others telling them, the likes of Kurikova and Serena, look, you put 45 seconds into her on that lap. If you keep doing that, there's a chance of a silver. Also the chance that Kropko, and it would seem very cruel, might miss out on the podium. But it makes it very interesting for the neutrals.
It does. It makes it exciting racing. Annabelle Knoll, she did do a lot of work on the bike. Just looks like she's struggling a bit. I think she was touch and go whether she was actually going to toe the start line. I think she also has had COVID recently and been a bit ill. Very, very narrow, isn't it? You can just see Maya King almost going on the other side of the cones there around that corner. The dog leg section of the course, just heading up to the dead turn. A little bit of an incline. She'll head back down. It's the lapped athlete just behind her, so that's not one of our chasers. Yeah, she pretty much has maintained the lead. It was 3 minutes and 6 seconds, the lead that they had off the bike. And it was 3 minutes, 3 seconds to Kurikova. So Maya King are running really strongly.
Yeah, it would take something quite extraordinary to stop Kingma winning the gold here. But as we just mentioned, the place is now right up for grabs, with the likes of Sereno and Tomi and Seregni and Kurikova putting the heat on Kropko, who's still got 2.25 minutes, but that is going to be whittled down by the lap.
Go coming in the other direction. He was sitting in 8th place. Maria Roderick sitting in 9th. Quite nice on a course like this because you do get to see where everyone is a lot of the time. So it's good and bad for the likes of someone like Marta Kropko because you can see, you know, those athletes are catching you. And I guess you know, it's quite confidence boosting for the chasers to know that they're making significant inroads.
Yeah, and you know, for Kropko, 10,000 meter race is going to feel like 20,000 meters, because every time she looks up and gets a timing from one of her entourage somewhere on the course, she's going to be told that the cavalry's coming.
Kingma just heading towards the back end of the second lap of the run here.
Goodison, who had that bike issue that cost her a place in the chasing group, actually.
Yeah, just disappointing for her. Sitting in 16th place at the moment. 6 odd minutes back. See one of our other Dutch athletes in 17th over, Beth Rossman. All business at the moment, I'd say.
Yeah, you mentioned it. The only World Cup medal she's won was here back in 2020. She obviously doesn't race at that many World Cups because she's on the top World Championship Series level, but nonetheless, she clearly has an affinity with this town.
Yeah, obviously really enjoys the course, like you said, enjoys being here.
And I think it just feels like such a bonus, almost a luxury for her to feel like she's fully fit. And it may still take another, couple of races till she's convinced that she's race fit and that run comes back to somewhere near where it was when she was at her peak.
Yeah, it must be really hard going into races where you know that you're not fully fit, and she probably had to do those races leading into the Olympics, go into them where she wasn't feeling 100%, and that's really, really tough. So it's great for her that she's now feeling like she's coming into form, and you can just see from her run technique, she just looks like she's got some spring in her step. She doesn't look flat on her feet. She looks like she's up on her toes. She looks really good. Looks like she's moving very well. She's heading on to her third lap, so third of 4 laps.
So halfway through, Kropko still has a little way to go to get to transition, and then it's going to be really interesting to see what the gap is. It's around about 2 minutes 15 when they came through to complete the first lap, and if you do the maths on 45 seconds a lap, that is absolutely bang on.
Yeah, so if it's a minute and a half or less, then we know that the others are certainly chasing, and a chance that Kropko might miss out on a medal, but never say never. Lots can happen in this racing, especially on a 10K run, especially after a really challenging bike, and especially in these hot conditions. So we know she'd lost 45 seconds to Maya Kingma after the first lap. Still running with her gel in her hand there.
To the naked eye, she looks like she is running a pretty even pace. I don't think she's slowed down since she came off the bike, to be honest.
I think Maya Kingma as well is just running very well. So the split is 1 minute 39. So she's lost
a lot, actually, nearly like 54 seconds.
Yes, on
that
lap.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes you wonder whether it's going to be maybe just inside a minute and a half when the chasers, those that are chasing Kropko, go through transition. We'll know fairly soon.
Yeah, and psychologically, if they know that they've put a minute and a half into her, then, you know, they probably know that they can do it on the back end of the last 5K of this race.
And Kurakova looks like she's got away from the likes of Sereno and others here into a clear third place at the moment.
Yeah, Kurakova looking very strong.
They're just waiting to get the time. Kurakova's only
1 minute 20. Yeah,
1:20.
1:20 behind Kropko.
This is not good news for Kropko.
And Sereno 1:30. So Sereno also, there's a chance that Sereno may also catch Kropko as well. So I'd say there's pretty much 4 or 5 athletes still, or let's say 6 athletes still in it.
Kurakova's only World Cup medal actually was a gold. It was in Pontevedra a couple of years ago, though she narrowly missed the podium in 4th in Brasilia last year. She was also 4th here in 2019. So she's got a bit of course form in the Czech Republic. But Kropko just has to keep going. It's going to be a bit of a heartbreaker if she gets run out of a medal.
Yeah, she just needs to really focus on herself and her technique and try not to get distracted by, you know, any negative thoughts. She's still got a really good buffer. So yeah, just try and think about your form. You know that those athletes are coming from behind, but you've got that buffer still, you've got that lead. They're the ones who have to chase it down. This is Kurakova. She looks like she's running very, very well. Kurakova was 3 minutes behind Maya Kingma, so pretty much running the same pace as Maya Kingma, because we know that that split was just around 3 minutes off the bike as well. No sign of Gina Sereno behind her.
Well, she's got some serious daylight in third now, hasn't she,
Yeah.
the Czech?
I just wonder if Gina Sereno knows what the split is to Martin Kropko. Presumably she's got support staff on the side, and she knows that, you know, if she carries on at that pace, that she is in with a chance of taking that medal place. I'd say Kurakova, on the other hand, looks pretty safe in a medal position at the moment. Yeah, Ola, I think she's just left. That's Stabova and Ola, 2 of our athletes here.
Yeah, Orla currently in 22nd place. She's 10 minutes behind, which is why she is going to be lapped by the leader shortly.
Yeah, the cameraman obviously expecting Maya Kingma around the corner pretty soon, I think. I think that's what we're waiting for. A little out and back section. Holly Elliott. Here we go. She's gone through that section already.
Yeah, they've been lapped.
Yep, she's heading back towards transition already.
Rosman of the Netherlands, struggling near the rear of the field. 19th moment, 7 minutes back.
Lottie Miller sitting in 21st. Here we have Maya Kingma, our race leader. I never tell the expression with the sunglasses on, but to me she looks pretty comfortable.
That's why poker players wear them. You give anything away.
No. We know she's moving well because we know the likes of Kurakova behind are not putting time into her. She's one of the fastest out on the course today, and I think she'll also take some confidence away with her, knowing that she is one of the fastest runners out on the course today. She can take that into her next few races and into the grand final, knowing that that run form is really coming back. Crowds are definitely coming out for the run.
Yeah, getting very busy. Well, I guess it's coming towards lunchtime, just approaching midday in Karlovy Vary. And Kingma's about, what, 3.5 Ks now from securing what would be, and I'm sure what will feel like, a phenomenal win for her after all the issues that she's had.
Yeah, like you mentioned, 2021 was the last time she was on top of the podium. There is a penalty up there, 26.
I've seen that.
Madalena Almeida of Portugal, unfortunately. I'm not sure what the penalty is for, but there's a penalty up on the penalty board there. Most likely either a dismount or equipment, given that it was in T2.
Well, it's just been ruthlessly efficient from Kingma on this run. Got past Marta Kropko, the Hungarian, very quickly, literally within a couple of 100 meters, and coming round now to take the bell and complete her third lap of 4 with just 2,500 meters to go between her and her first victory for a long while.
First sign of an expression there. It was either a small little smile or a grimace on the face of Maya Kingma. She came through transition there. She could have, you know, seen someone she knew shouting for her, maybe a little smile, but also, you know, we're now at the back end of this race, the business end, one more lap to go, and things are starting to get a little bit painful.
Well, she has a massive buffer. I think there's going to be any issues unless something quite ridiculous happens for Kingma. Meanwhile, this is currently the woman in the bronze medal position, Kurikova, but she will have designs on something better because she's gaining ground on Marta Kropko almost by the meter. It down to around about a minute. Last we saw, that was at the lap 3 split time. You would imagine it's got to be less than that.
Yeah, we don't see her coming into shot yet, but she can't be far off coming around that corner at the back end of the shot there.
And the boost that it will give Kurikova when she does eventually see Kropko ahead of her, well, massive psychological lift she'll get from that. Kropko probably best not to look in a wing mirror, really.
Yeah, they've got this out and back section through transition, so most likely Kurikova is going to get sight of Kropko going through transition. Here comes Kropko. Can she hang on for a medal? Right now, sitting in that silver medal position. No sign of Kurikova yet. Just rounding the corner. They will literally pass each other.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the gap back between Kurikova and Serena, currently racing in 4th. And the last we had, it was 18 seconds. So that's kind of like another 18 seconds you can kind of give to Kropko in terms of potentially getting a medal, albeit, you know, in that case the bronze if she is caught by Kurikova.
Yeah, Serena is going to have to have a mammoth of a last lap in order to catch Kropko. To me, it looks like that gap's
20 seconds.
20 seconds.
And then another nearly half a minute after that. So it's about 45 seconds. Kropko to Serena in 4th at the moment.
That's very, very tight.
It's going to be, this potentially could be really exciting. We know who's going to win this race, barring accidents. Kurikova, though, what a run. And she's going to have Marta Kropko in her sights very shortly, if she doesn't already.
And Serino 42 seconds behind Kropko. So pretty much like clockwork, Serino has gained that necessary 45 seconds per lap on Kropko. Let's see if Kropko is able to put out a mammoth of her last lap.
And sometimes there can be a little bit of adrenaline kicks in towards the end when you see the blue carpet and the finish line and everything. So it's not a done deal. It could be really close, actually.
Yeah, I think we're in for a really exciting last lap. You can just see Kurakova can now see Kropko.
Yeah.
She's got her in her sights.
That's a game-changing moment for her. Kropko, I don't know if she's looked back. She'd have been told, obviously, that the Czech is gaining on her. So she won't be completely surprised when Kurakova does go past her, assuming she does.
And the local crowd will obviously be spurring Kurakova on as well. Yeah, Kurakova's, like you said, one and only World Cup podium was that first in Pontevedra in 2022.
Yeah, the gap is shortening by the second, isn't it? Kropko to Kurakova. Just a question of when, and it's going to be in probably about half a minute or sooner. What an effort from the Czech.
Yeah, huge run by Kurakova. I think I calculated about 6 seconds, and you can just see Gina Serino as well coming around the corner there. Looks like 3 seconds. So Kurakova will be making her way past Kropko any minute now. And then the question is, how far is Serino back?
That's potentially going to be a moment that the Hungarian doesn't want to happen if she gets caught by the American. But there she goes. So Kurakova into second place, past Kropko. She's not going to catch Kingma, but she looks to have the silver medal at this stage at least, all but wrapped up. And it's her 133rd race today.
Incredible.
Clearly lost none of her enthusiasm for the sport.
No, what a long career.
First World Triathlon sanctioned race was quite a while ago. Just look up exactly when she made her debut. Would have been the ITU in those days, but now World Triathlon. Meanwhile, fascinating thing is going to be to see what Sereno can do in terms of catching the Hungarian.
You can just see Sereno there coming into shot. So
2008 as a junior, so 16-year career today.
Wow.
With power to add.
That's quite something. Yeah, and we just saw in the previous shot, Gina Sereno just coming into shot behind Kropko, so I'm sure we'll get another look at that. But here we're back with Maya Kingma. What a run by Maya Kingma.
It's not going to be as quick a time as it was last year when Ben Jorgensen ran just shy of 2 hours and 4 minutes. That's the quickest time we've ever had in women's time for the Karlovy Vary World Cup, but she's not going to care about the time. She's just going to care about the fact that she's right back to somewhere close to her brilliant form she showed us back in 2021.
Yeah, she just looks strong and fit and healthy, doesn't she? And I'm sure she's just really pleased to have put those injury woes and things behind her. Just try and take advantage of the back end of this year, use that form.
There's never really been too much doubt, has there? Once she got away along with the Hungarian Kropko on the bike, and they had a 3-minute lead, we knew she was going to run away from the Hungarian once they got off the bike, and it's been, well, she's turned it into a procession basically.
Yeah, and we did mention before it's her birthday today, so what a birthday present this will be.
Not far to go now. A little look back, but she'll need a telescope to see Kurakova. Gap was about, what was it, about 2.5 minutes or something like that. It's just been an ultra-professional performance from start to finish for Maya Kingma. One of the most popular women on the circuit. There's the smile. There are the high fives. We said it was her 29th birthday. Many happy returns and a very, very happy return to the top step of the podium. It's her first win for more than 3 years, and she has done it emphatically. What a performance from Kingma. I think the smile tells you everything. 2 hours, 5 minutes and change. The time doesn't matter. And she's got time to have a drink, read the paper, and then check and see that Kurikova's going to come second. And is that... I'm just trying to see Sereno.
That's one of our back markers, so that's okay. Kurakova still sitting in second.
Okay, we need to go back and see the battle for third, don't we? That's the...
Yeah, the question is how far away is Gina Sereno from Marta Kropko? Kurikova's got that silver pretty much wrapped up, barring anything dramatic happening.
There's Kropko. Now, where is Sereno? That's the question. Don't see her in front of her, unless she's significantly in front of her.
Don't see her in front of her, and don't see her very close behind her either.
Well, Kurakova getting huge support, as you would expect, from our home crowd here. Yeah, she knows the silver medal is hers for the asking now.
Just see a smile creeping onto her face there.
It has been a phenomenal run from the Czech, it really has. I mean, she's put, last we saw, she put about 30 seconds into Kingma. Now, you could say Kingma maybe, you know, didn't have to run full out, but nonetheless. And now she knows the winning line in sight, or the finish line at least. And it's going to be a really hard-earned silver for the Czech. Was that coming behind it? Quite see. Kurakova, meanwhile, will get silver for the Czech Republic on home soil.
Might be a mammoth run by Gina Sereno.
That is unbelievable. Well, no wonder we couldn't see her, because she'd already gone past Kropko. What a fantastic run from the American.
Yeah, phenomenal last lap by Sereno.
And it's going to be a bit of a heartbreaker for Marta Kropko. She's going to finish one off the podium in 4th place, having done so much hard work. But I think when she looks back, okay, no medal. But for her, it's a game-changing result.
Yeah, agonizingly close for her, but I think she's going to draw so much confidence from that result. And you can see the delight. She's absolutely delighted. Just missed the podium, but equally delighted with her 4th performance, and that's a career-best World Cup result for her.
Good job, Kingma just said to her. Yeah, you can see she's still with it. Tomei's going to come through and finish in 5th place. Just ahead of Sereni by the look of it.
Yeah, but the last shot we got at the turnaround with Sereno, she was probably a good 10 seconds behind Kropko, so mammoth performance on that last bit of the run there. Warm conditions there. Tomei just dousing herself with some ice cold water.
Yeah, warm and getting much warmer.
Steinhauser now just coming in to finish in 7th place.
2:05.23, the official winning time for Maya Kingma. So Italians finishing 6th and 7th. This is a good run from Roderick.
Yeah, excellent run by Brea Roderick.
She'll get herself a top 8 potentially here.
Still only under 23, so really great performance for her at senior level. I think that's her best ever World Cup result. She was 11th in New Plymouth. Finishing in, will be finishing 8th place here today.
Rovianova is going to finish in 9th, so 2 Czechs in the top 10.
Nova had an incredible run. She was way back. I think she was one of the last out of the water. She must have soloed her way on the bike and has managed to creep into the top 10.
Which she hasn't managed to do. Oh, in fact, she's had 1 top 10 all year in her previous 9 races. That was in a Europe Cup Super Sprint last month in Turkey.
Sophia Howell about to turn the corner to the finish straight and will creep into the top 10 for 10th place, I think. Or is this Hauser in 10th place? Apologies. It's Howell just off the top 10 there, finishing in 11th. Hauser as well having a strong run. She was pretty much out of contention for a large part of that race.
Just looking some of the women right at the back of the field, just to show you how strung out they are and how tough this race is. You've got the likes of Orla, Slabova and Holly Elliott around about 12 minutes back.
Well, a lot, but how it turned out, I didn't expect to. Like, it was absolutely perfect. Yeah, I think we already had a good swim at Soregni, of course, and I was glad to be there. I think we had a group of 5, but like at the way to get to the city, there's also some hills, and I thought, like, yeah, if people are not gonna ride, then I want only the ones that wanna ride. So I attacked on like the first hill out of the water, and I think only Marta really came with me, and she was amazing. Like how we worked together, how she tried to like create a gap, and yeah, I didn't expect it to happen like that, but it was great. Yeah.
And everyone knows about your power on the bike, but is there really the technical elements that stood out today? You really nailed the corners, the climbs, and the downhills, every aspect of it. How important were those smaller details?
Yeah, I think if you want to win every lap a few seconds, it's all important. And I think it really helps me to save some energy. Like, you go up hard on the hill, but if you go downhill, you just save energy, but you go in an error position and you attack the corners right. Yeah. I think it's. I'm really happy with how I performed today. It's also a big surprise for me.
I mean, you had surgery earlier in the year, so you said that you were building through this season. How happy are you to just be back at your best, essentially?
Yeah, well, super happy. I really didn't expect to be this good, and I think my team and myself, we give myself a very nice birthday present today.
And then you've got a few more races coming up this season. You said you're still looking to build on even from today. So I'm guessing we can expect something very special from you in the next few weeks and months.
Well, like you said, I'm really strong on a bike, and you need a proper bike course to do something on the bike, you know. So I think we might make the famous words from Taylor Knibb, like we don't want a parking lot course. This is definitely not a parking lot course, and that's definitely why I'm really happy that I could race here and a race like this. Yeah.
Congratulations and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, Karlovy Vary and parking lot course don't go in the same sentence. Interesting, fascinating stuff from the winner, Maya Kingma. Still have women finishing, as you can see.
In the Karlovy Vary, so I'm very
Let's hear from the runner-up.
You were in contention for the bronze medal going into the run and with the main pack. As you were gradually reeling in the Hungarian athlete Kropko, how was it for you? Were you nervous? Were you excited?
I was really excited, and I know I'm a good runner, and Marta is not so struck on the run, so I gave everything on the run, and it was good.
And you had plenty of home support out there today from fellow Czech fans and spectators alike. How important were they for you in boosting you throughout the race?
Yeah, it's it's after Olympics, so maybe I'm feeling a bit tired physically and mentally, but I'm so happy to take a silver medal here in Karlovy Vary.
And when you came into transition and you saw that Kingma and Kropko were 3 minutes up the road, were there a few nervous looks there?
Yeah, I didn't understand how strong the girls were on the bike. It was crazy. 3 minutes, it's really a very big gap, but yeah, I give everything on the run.
Well, that's a fantastic performance. Enjoy the rest of your day.
She's doing herself down a bit. I mean, she was 29th. I thought that was a very respectable performance in Paris for Pirikova.
Yeah, 30th in Tokyo as well, so improved upon that.
Gina,
Really good
another World Cup
Olympics.
podium for you. You really came from nowhere on the run there.
Yeah, that was so fun. That was such a cool course. Super iconic, like very punishing. The hill is insane. Like you really feel it going up there like 5, 6, 7 times.
And how difficult was it knowing that the lead pair of Kingma and Kropko were just pulling out more and more time with each lap? Was that demoralizing at all?
I couldn't see them. They were so far away. Yeah, they rode so hard, and so they were completely out of the picture. And so finding the strength to still try and stay in it and count yourself in the race, I think was really hard. But there were so many people around you in the pack, and it was super motivational to be able to keep going.
And how well did you work together in the pack? I saw that it was quite organized for much of the bike.
Yeah, it was good. People were taking turns. I think some people were stronger on the climb, some people were stronger descending and going around the corners. So yeah, there was a good rotation happening.
And then what's next for you coming up this season? You've got another World Cup medal. What are you aiming for coming up?
I'm going to do the Weihai race and then a couple World Cups at the end of the season.
Congratulations on another medal.
Thank you so much.
Well, we've still got some women still to finish. 21 have finished now. We've still got Orla, Slabova, Holly Elliott and Hiraku Fukuoka on the course. Miss Slabova. Tough going for some of these women. It really has been.
Really, really tough course. One of the toughest out there. So, and we know it's warm as well. And the small field as well doesn't make it easy.
Well, the men have been warned because it's going to be much hotter for them. They don't race until for another, just under 3 hours actually. It's going to be 30 degrees by then. So Orla's going to come across the line in, I think it's 22nd place. Slabova will be 23rd. Not too far behind her will be Holly Elliott, and then we've also got Fukuoka, who's about 6 minutes back of Elliott. Let's say at the start how difficult this course is.
Really, really tough.
And you hear it from the athlete, we hear it every year from those who make the podium, and if they're finding it tough, then clearly everybody else has some issues as well.
It's certainly one of the toughest out there.
So all bar one have now crossed the line. We only had two DNFs, Vikanova and Stroschneider. Everyone else is going to finish once Fukuoka crosses the line in about 5 minutes' time. Just a note, by the way, we're not going to have the women's presentation ceremony now. It will take place just before the men's medal ceremony once the men's race is concluded. So, confirmation then of the final result, confirming the time, 2:05 and 23 seconds. Kurakova, what a run to finish second to Kingma. Sereno getting past Kropko close home, in the end, beat her by nearly half a minute. Kropko, even though she missed the podium, looked absolutely thrilled. Tomei, a very solid fifth. Seregni maybe not quite herself today, might be a bit under the weather. 2 Italians, 6th and 7th with Steinhauser, the latter of the two. Roderick, a great run to finish 8th. Zimovyanova making it 2 Czechs in the top 10, and Julia Hauser with an excellent run, rounding out the top 10 for the Austrian. Well, that is about all we have for you for the moment, because, as I say, the presentation ceremony is not going to happen until much later. So we will be back at 3 o'clock local time, which is in about 2 hours and 40 minutes, in fact 2.5 hours. We will start 10 minutes before the race start. So please join us then. For now, though, for Julian Sanders, myself, Trevor Harris, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Neříkám, že jde už do cíle, to je důležitý.
Tak máme prakťák, prej.